Welcome to a stadium edition of the News4JAGs podcast. Justin Barney, Alessandra, Pontbriand, and we are 1 week away from the Jaguars hosting the Chiefs right here at EverBank Stadium, the preseason opener. First and only stadium practice was today.
Thank God.
It is cooking out here today, but after kind of the carnage of Friday's practice where we saw injury after injury after injury, a little lighter today.
We talked yesterday about how that was the hottest practice. This is the hottest practice. If anyone knows about being on the field at EverBank Stadium, it is excruciating. I really do not know how these guys do it. Unlike yesterday, thankfully, we didn't see any injuries today. We got more of like a scrimmage-esque type practice today, especially for the thousands of fans. So that probably was really good. You know who's really standing out for me? Jalen Jackson, the running back. I think he's having a great camp. Obviously, you have Travis Etienne at one, you have Tank Bixby, but Jalen Jackson, Dearness Johnson as well, but Jalen Jackson's doing a really good job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jalen Jackson has turned out one good camp after another. Travis Etienne, Tank Bixby, we talked to Tank and seen him play. When the pads came on, Tank's production went up. He has looked good after struggling in his rookie season. The offensive line has looked good. I've been impressed with two really good days of Devon Hamilton, defensive lineman. Watching him again today in one-on-ones, I couldn't see who he just actually dusted over there in one-on-ones, but man, he looked really good, like the Devon of camp last year. Not a really, we've seen a lot of these, 11 on 11. We didn't see a lot of that today. Right. We saw a lot, though. We saw the one-on-one battles again. We saw some good plays down in the end zone. Trevor had a kind of a hot and cold time down there in the end zone throwing. But my takeaway today is they're further along than they were last year. The offense continues to step forward, and we're 1 week away from things kicking off down here.
Yeah, when the Chiefs come to town, it's going to be unique, or maybe not unique, but it's going to be interesting to see if the starters actually are going to play. I would expect them maybe a quarter and a half. That's when I really think we'll be able to see just how good the offense and defense has progressed this training camp. They are going against the Chiefs, though, so it's not going to be easy, of course. But, I asked Tyson Campbell if he's really excited for that, and he said he is. He really is excited to get out on the field, put the pads on, be in a game-like aspect for the preseason game against the Chiefs, and just to show what especially the secondary has improved on this offseason.
Yeah, and spoke to Joshua Cephas right after camp today, and I said, the next game 1 week from today, Patrick Mahomes and company, Travis Kelce, those guys are coming to town. He said, I'm getting pumped up just thinking about seeing Pat and the Chiefs. They're Super Bowl champions coming in here. Jack saw them 2 years ago in the AFC divisional round and lost in that game. But man, it is going to be exciting. As the closer to the season we get, these training camp practices will get shorter and shorter as they kind of shift into that game week preparation. But next week is going to be that first time where it's really game week is back. And then the following week, we've got the live scrimmages, the practices, the open practices, the joint practices with the Bucs who are coming up to town. So that will be interesting to see how those guys do. Those joint practices always can be a little bit chippy because you're hitting somebody else other than your own teammates. There's always some good talking and kind of the rapping back and forth. So I'm looking forward to see Mac Jones yapping because he's a good trash talker, Jarian Jones. So I think that'll be good with the joint practices up here with the Bucs. And of course, August 23rd, they wrap the preseason up against the Falcons. But my takeaways from this week alone, it's been a hot and long week. The injury yesterday, I think, were probably the unfortunate story of the week. A lot of guys held out of practice today. Haven't got a firm update on Patrick Murtaugh, but it looked like he broke his ankle in practice yesterday. Unfortunate for the Australian in the NFL International Pathway Program. A lot of guys out. Cooper Hodges out today. The injury list was substantial for today.
Yeah, and that's right. The injury list was coming into practice. We didn't see anyone get hurt while in practice from what we got to see. But yeah, the injury list is definitely quite extensive. Yeah.
After yesterday, they'd been relatively healthy throughout camp, and then you had really the last few days of camp here and the full pads coming on and the unfortunate injury to Patrick Murtaugh. Yeah. Cam Robinson with the shoulder yesterday as well. Dewey with the knee. So a lot of stuff kind of stacking up on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Frank Franchi talks about how really not having Dewey Wingard and Anton Harrison are the big misses for the Jaguars right now. But Justin, the biggest takeaway I can take away is that if this is how hot hell is, I better change to be a great person because I cannot handle this.
It is hot. Last year we were just talking, we stayed in this corner this year. All of our gear was over here this year, and I was thinking we're going to have to walk to the other corner last year where we did our interviews, and I'm like, wow, this is going to be tough hiking it over there. It is. cannot get a good idea unless you're out here sitting in the stands today. The stadium doesn't look as crowded as it did last year.
I do think that people were hiding, though, in the shade.
Absolutely.
So there were thousands of people here, maybe not sitting in the stands because
they were
so
in,
hot,
looked like they were in the bud zone up there, seeking shelter.
Hiding.
So stadium in the future cannot get here fast enough where you got a little bit of shade. But yeah, cannot undersell how hot it was out here at training camp yesterday and today. It really felt like two of the hotter practices of training camp. We talked to Ryan Nielsen before camp, and if you remember a year ago at this time, we had the news from Doug Peterson about Tyler Shatley's AFib at camp last year. So not bad information this year at camp. We talked to Ryan Nielsen before camp started. He's pumped up. He is a football-centric guy. Took that away from talking to him today.
Yeah, I asked him, it's so funny because Amani last night when we talked to him, he said that, I asked him if this was like the dog days. He said that Doug Peterson was harping on that these are the tough practices, that you need those, especially at the end of the season when it's cooling, it's tough, you're tired. Think back to, what you were able to do here in this heat. But then Ryan Nielsen today, when I asked him about it, he said, no, never the dog days. No, it's a great day every day when we can play football. And I was like, you love the positivity, okay?
When coaches start spitting those cliches out, things are not arguing. Mitch Morse, we talked to him last week. He said, we hate putting on the full pads because it's not.
I completely understand.
It's not like, we like to put these full pads on, but is a necessary evil. You got to program and kind of hardwire your body, condition yourself to play in this nasty, unbelievable, unrelenting heat. And I think that not all of the injuries yesterday were heat related, but I do think heat had a significant portion to do with those injuries yesterday. Jaguars had been relatively healthy throughout camp. I mean, Anton Harrison, we heard yesterday, was out with concussion, sustained in team drills, and Dewey had the knee the other day, but I do think Deshaun Dixon, he was banged up yesterday. Josh Peterson was banged up. A lot of guys, Cooper Hodges out with the back, so a lot of guys feeling that the dings and nicks and bruises and bumps during camp. But man, 1 week from tonight, we're gonna be under the lights out here. It will be nice. It will not be this brutally hot.
Yeah.
You won't be having to wear your sunglasses on the field next week.
Hey, don't take a shot at me for that. You know what? Listen, before we get into it, because I'm too hot for this, thank you for watching the News4JAGs podcast. For Justin Barney, I'm Alessandra Pontbriand.